Now, two things that I need to discuss. The first is the pushback to my... Oh, there's my alarm to get to work. The pushback to the Anarchy Online video was intense and emotional. So, I will be putting out a video in the next couple of days where I address every single issue that the Anarchy Online community had with my review. I will be giving the game a fairer chance and playing it for a lot longer, because I believe that if I make a joke at Anarchy Online's expense and the community are genuinely insulted by it, it's not a joke unless everyone's laughing. It's not a good joke if someone else is being put down or made to feel inferior or wrong or silly or stupid because of that joke. It's not a good joke if making a couple of people laugh relies on making a couple of other people sad. That's not right. Now, I could obviously just hand wave the video with, "It's just a joke, bro," but that invalidates people's feelings, and it invalidates the genuinely quite useful feedback that I have got from the Anarchy Online community as feedback, as input. So, I will be trying to show the game and the community of the game the respect that both of them deserve by addressing all of the issues they have with it and putting out a follow-up video where I attempt to show that I was making a video in good faith. Because one of the comments that really got to me, comments don't normally get to me, I've been doing this job a long time, comments don't normally get to me, but one of the comments was, "You didn't make this video to be funny, you made it to get back at the people that like Anarchy Online." I don't know any of the people that like Anarchy Online. That's not a shot at the game, I just haven't personally interacted with them. But the fact that somebody watched the video and thought the purpose of this video is to attack the player base? I mean, that's horrible to hear, but it also puts the weight on my shoulders of proving that that was not in any way the case. Attack systems, attack procedures, attack ideas, never attack people. Will the follow-up be like the one we did for Realm of the Mad God? Exactly the same as that, where I clarify what I said, apologise for where I was wrong, put in the time and the effort that I believe it deserves. Oh no, it was lots of people. It was the entire Anarchy Online kind of fan base really hated it. And I've said this before, I said this earlier in the stream. I don't mind a joke, but if a joke comes at the expense of someone else feeling like they are the target of the joke, it's not funny. It's only funny when everyone's laughing. Where'd you get your barbell? Probably Argos. If you message me on Discord or Twitter, I will try to respond, but please understand I get hundreds of messages every week. It is impossible for me to respond to all of them or to reply in a private message to all of them. But someone was asking me, what's my opinion on an MMORPG, a board game, a video game, any kind of process that starts bad and then gets good, and the player can appreciate the journey. You almost start as a character with no health, no weapons, no items, no abilities, you get beaten up by everyone, but as you keep playing, you get better, you get more powerful, you see that hero's journey, you see that progression. And this, of course, resonates very strongly with the MMORPG version of development. You start off with the power fantasy of having nothing, and then you get stronger. But let me ask you a question. Why do we always focus on the game starts bad, but gets good, instead of saying it starts good and gets great? Because, and this is where I think game designers have a little bit of hubris, we live in an age where there is more entertainment available to everyone than ever before. There are more high-quality video games than you could ever play, more high-quality, amazing films than you could ever watch. Left Pocket, does this guy ever play the game? I mean, I'm at the final boss, so probably, but if you want just gameplay, you are not going to like Twitch. Let's go back to what I was saying. There is more video games available than ever before. There are more books available to read than you could ever read. There's more music than you could ever listen to. There's more high-quality entertainment available to anyone. Why would someone pick a bit of entertainment that starts bad and gets good when they could choose something that is great all along? That's what I'm trying to kind of drill into people. People come to me all the time and say, look, I've got this game, this MMO. It's going to take 100 hours before it finally gets good. But when someone puts those hours in, it's really rewarding. I have to say, right, how many people do you think realistically are going to put those 100 hours in when everyone has access to everything else? Sometimes things start bad and then get good because you're there because of Stockholm Syndrome, you're there because of sunk cost fallacy, you're there because you've got no other choice. I often tell people the reason that many MMORPGs succeeded back in the day was because there was simply no other choice. You played either Ultima or you played EverQuest, because those were the two big titans of the genre. Then you played World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV. Now we have loads more choice. It's like going to a restaurant and a restaurant saying, look, you've got to order 3 or 4 meals here before we start serving you the good stuff. We're going to serve you crap now, but it's going to get better later. You've just got to keep coming back here. No, someone's going to go to a restaurant that serves them good food right now. Maybe the bad parts make the good parts worth it, as you sacrifice something for it. Fast and Curious, that's very true. I understand the process. I understand the balance. I understand the juxtaposition of it was bad, but now it's good, and therefore the good looks better by comparison. But ask yourself a question as a human being. If you have access to 1,000 good things right now, and one bad thing that gets good, how many people are going to choose the bad thing that gets good when you could just choose one of the good things immediately? History has shown us people choose things that are good now. People have told me that Expedition 33 gets good the moment you start playing it. Excellent. Oblivion pretty much gets good the moment you get out of the sewer very quickly. Morrowind can get good within an hour. Most people do not continue playing past a bad start. And that's what I'm trying to drill into people now. People do not continue playing past a bad start. And people also struggle to look at this in terms of generalizations, because I get loads of messages following back saying, well, actually, I like games that start bad and get good. Okay, cool. A business shouldn't focus on that because that's not a good business model. Why then people play PoE 1? I think Path of Exile 1 gets good from the start. The fact that you're on the beach on Path of Exile 1, you immediately get given a weapon, you get given a skill chip or skill gem, and then you immediately get given a combination gem which makes that skill do something that you see combined. Then you kill the first boss on the beach using rolling, using your skill. You get to the very first place, the kind of beach hut thing. You get given 3 quests straight away. You get access to shops, and you go out and straight away you have a map and a choice for 3 things to do. It is very slow at the start, that is very true, but it is not bad at the start. This is what I try and get into people. Slow does not mean bad and fast does not mean good. Path of Exile 1 starts slowly, but it also starts well. It gives the player access to almost all the mechanics they're going to need within the first 1 to 2 hours of the game, which is why it's then easy to keep playing. Path of Exile 2 did the same thing. The issue would be, imagine if Path of Exile didn't give you access to skill gems for the first 20 hours of gameplay. And people kept saying to me, oh, keep playing, it gets good eventually. No, it's good now. The gameplay loop that is going to make up your end game needs to be started at the start of your game. It just needs to get more complicated. Factorio is a game that gets complicated, but it starts good, because it immediately gives you the loop that you're going to get into and get more complicated with. You say that Path of Exile 2 gets good when you get to the maps. I think it's fun, or it's decent at least, before you get to the maps. The maps are a good part of it, no doubt, but the game itself is not bad before that. That's what I'm trying to explain to people when it comes to game design. So many people excuse bad early design based on the notion that it gets good eventually. How many people are going to get to the bit where it gets good if the early design is bad? Imagine if you did it with anything else. Hey, the songs on this album are crap until you've listened to it 7 or 8 times, but then a couple of songs start to appear that are good. Alright, well, my time is limited. I'm not going to listen to it 7 or 8 times, am I? I think the reason it gets to me so much is 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me count. 5. One of the things you get taught in almost any artistic profession, painting, writing, sculpting, theatre, acting, anything, is it's about how much you can remove, not how much you can add, and still keep the essence of the thing that you want to have. Let's imagine that you are designing a game and you design the first 20 hours of the game as the most boring, dull thing you can possibly create, and then you design the next 5 hours as this absolutely brilliant mechanical masterpiece. What's the point in the first 20 hours? And if you're going to say, alright, teaches the player the mechanics they need to know, if you need 20 hours to learn the mechanics you need to know to play your game, you've got to streamline that. You've got to streamline that. Give us an example, my man. Okay. Example of a good tutorial? Portal. Portal 1 can be finished in 4 or 5 hours. It teaches you all of the important mechanics within the first half an hour to an hour. The first thing you start off with Portal, you don't have the gun. But guess what? You see a static portal in front of you. You walk through it, you see yourself. The camera angle is designed to allow you to see this is what portals do. It gives you a visual reference within the frame of the construction of the level. You see yourself walk through a portal and appear somewhere else. You even see the old thing you used to be in. Then you get added into a room where the portal gun is there, but one portal is static and one portal is moving. So you realise, oh yeah, okay, cool, I need to go through them at the right time, but you still can't create portals. Then you get the portal gun, but you can only create one colour of portal, and the other is also static. So you're now in charge of something, but only half of it. Then you get the second colour of portal gun, you now have full control of the game's mechanics, and it starts to introduce new things every test area, like the dangerous floor, like the electrical beams, like the bridges, like the energy balls. You have been given all of the mechanics within... You mean name a game that's bad for 20 hours then starts being good, my dude? Probably one of the MMORPGs that's died. That's why they die. Name a game that's bad for 20 hours then starts getting good. If you enjoy something enough to put 20 hours into it, despite the fact that it's bad, you're going to find a level of enjoyment within it. There are people who have been playing, what was it, Anomaly Zone? That knockoff Stalker game? There are people who still play loads of old MMORPGs that they don't enjoy the early game of it, but they push through it to get to the good bit. If it's bad for 20 hours, the average player will never find out if it's good or not. That's kind of the problem. I'm going to be honest, Final Fantasy XIV. I love Final Fantasy XIV. I think it's an excellent game. It does not, in the first 10 hours, show you what it is. In the first... You could sit down and play Final Fantasy XIV for 10 hours. Take someone who's never played an MMORPG ever. Sit down, make them play Final Fantasy XIV for 10 hours. Don't give them any help, just let the game explain what it is to them. And then, after 10 hours, say to them, what is this game truly about? And they will say, it's about fetch quests and running backward and forward between NPCs. That is what they'll say. They won't say it's about massive, epic, complicated raids. They won't say it's about the Golden Saucer. They probably won't even say it's about RPing in Limsa Lominsa. They will say it's about fetch quests, because that is what you do for the first 10 hours of that game. What about Star Trek Season 1 and 2? They're really rough, but the rest is goated. That's true. So, Reg, you have to understand that we're talking about game design here. We're not talking about TV shows. Because if you say, hey, which Star Trek should I watch? I would say you should watch The Next Generation and you should skip Season 1. That's what I would say to someone. I would say you don't need to... I've seen Season 1. I think it's okay. I don't mind Security Tasha. But you need to start where someone's good. If I was to say, hey, you should watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you should start when Danny DeVito arrives. You should start in Season 2. TV shows are paced differently because they are learning to be something. They are learning to be the best version of themselves. And then, when they become the best version of themselves, we as consumers can say the best version of this media exists between here and here. Now, if you consume the whole thing, you'll have a greater context. You'll have a greater breadth of knowledge. You'll be able to understand the subtle nods. However, you can also start here to here and still get a damn good experience. Like Doctor Who. If someone wants to get into Doctor Who, you don't need to go back and watch all of the originals. You can pretty much start with David Tennant or Matt Smith. That's fine. But with MMORPG games, you don't have the option to skip the boring bit and get to where it gets good unless you pay money to do so. Which means that the game and the players on some level acknowledge that it is a bad bit and worth skipping. I like Christopher Eccleston as Doctor Who, to be fair. I think he's okay. People act like when I discuss game design, I am the be-all and end-all of it. Of course I'm not. There is nuance and there is subtlety to this. But we have to look at the lessons we've learned from the past. Here is the biggest lesson that I try and teach people. When I say MMORPGs need to be easy to get into, need to have an early game narrative that guides the player, and needs to see mechanical progress early in the game so you can feel a level of progression. People always look back at me and say, well, what about World of Warcraft Classic? World of Warcraft Classic is doing well, and that's an old game. You know, when World of Warcraft Classic released originally back in 2004 as World of Warcraft, and it was competing against EverQuest and Ultima Online, World of Warcraft was considered the easy one. It was considered the best onboarding experience for new players. It was considered by EverQuest and Ultima Online players at the time to be the childish one with the overly stylized cartoon graphics. It had fewer classes. It had fewer abilities for the classes. It had the narrative-driven early game experience from whichever area you started in. It had quests that you could do to gain experience before you needed to go and grind enemies. World of Warcraft, at the time, back with its contemporaries in 2004, was lambasted just as much as an easy MMORPG is today. It was easy to get into because MMOs have player churn. And player churn is old players leave, new players start. That equation is the churn. If more old players leave and fewer players enter, the game starts to slowly die. That's what's happened to games like Anarchy Online. The old players are still there, the new players are not getting in. One thing that World of Warcraft did really well at the time was it was excellent at bringing new players in and excellent at giving old players something to do. Lots of old MMOs are not good at bringing new players in. Even EverQuest, which is still online today, has time-locked progression servers, which is incredibly good at bringing players in. As much as I have no personal love for World of Warcraft, it is the absolute, gold example, the gold standard of a good new player experience. So when people say to me, oh, well, World of Warcraft Classic's still popular and that's difficult, it wasn't difficult at the time. It was actually following all the advice that I'm giving. You look at any major successful MMORPG and they do two things really well. They bring in new players and make sure the new player experience is not filled with friction, and then they give old players something to do once they learn what to do. That's what it is. Someone said to me, yeah, but friction creates communities and bonds. Yes. Yes, it does. But I think people take that advice of friction creates bonds and use it to justify, therefore, bad design is fine because people will just bond through it and push through it. It's trauma bonding in a digital scale. Friction does create bonds. Use it in business, use it in the military, use it in martial arts. Pushing through community struggles together, of course, creates a connection to the people that you push through that struggle with. But when you're using that to justify bad game design as it will create a community, what people tend to forget is that if the friction pushes players away before they've become invested and enjoy your game and your world, they're not going to be there to create the community, are they? They're not going to stay around. What you want to do is pacing. You want to be excited to bring new players to your game. Be excited to have that new experience. Be excited to show them all the stuff your game can be. And when they're invested, when they enjoy it, then start to introduce some challenge and some friction. That's the best way to do it. What I see people say all the time is, well, if a little bit of difficulty was enough to put a new player off, they never wanted this game anyway. They never wanted to be here anyway. Pacing is about finding someone who wants to try your hobby, encouraging them, enjoying the process, letting them get invested into it and enjoy it, and then, when you can tell they're interested, introducing some challenge. What you don't do is immediately introduce challenge and then lambast them leaving and then wonder why your game is dying. Barriers should be about the invested players jumping over them, not the new players running into them. I'm actually, believe it or not, a big advocate for more difficulty in games. I think games should have ultra hard modes for people that want that. What I don't think you should do is demand that new players have to go through that. I completely believe that most games should have optional, super duper difficulty versions. That'd be great. Ultimate Iron Man modes, ultimate hardcore modes, ultimate challenge modes. These things should exist. What they shouldn't do is be forced on new players. It's like you're trying to get your friend into a fighting game, then proceed to just combo them and beat them without them ever hitting you. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is, man. Imagine trying to get your friend into a game, like a game of Tekken or a game of Dead or Alive, and then as soon as they start playing, you just combo them to death, repeatedly. And after a couple of hours, they say, you know what, this isn't fun, I'm not going to play with you anymore. And then you start to think, oh, well, you never really wanted to play anyway. Someone didn't combo you into enjoying it. You don't beat someone into submission and hope they enjoy the game that you're doing that with.